Have you ever heard people whisper about you like you were already gone? I did. Before we continue, please comment where you are watching from and subscribe so you can hear more stories like this. I stood in the hallway, holding my walking stick with both hands, my heart thumping so hard it felt like it might break my ribs. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes every small sound feel loud. A clock ticked. A kettle clicked off in the kitchen. And then I heard my son's voice, low and shaky, like he was afraid the walls would listen. If she dies before Monday, he whispered, we inherit everything. His wife answered even softer, like a snake sliding through grass. Then we don't have to share. Not with anyone, just us. My knees went weak. For a second, I thought I might fall right there. I pressed my palm against the wall to steady myself. I could smell my own perfume, the one I always wore because it made me feel brave. But in that moment, I did not feel brave at all. I felt cold, because they were talking about me. About my death. Like it was a date on a calendar they were waiting for. My mind raced. Monday. Why Monday? Why did that day matter so much? I leaned closer, barely breathing. My son spoke again. The lawyer said it. The will. If she passes before Monday, the house and the savings go straight to me. No delays. No questions. His wife let out a small laugh. It was not a happy laugh. It was the kind of laugh that makes your skin crawl. Then we just need to make sure she doesn't go to that appointment, she said. Or we make sure she doesn't wake up. My hand flew to my mouth. I swallowed a scream before it could escape. Make sure she doesn't wake up. Did you hear that? Did you feel it too? That sharp fear in your chest? I wanted to burst into the room and shout, I'm right here. I wanted to demand answers. I wanted to cry. But something deep inside me, something old and strong, grabbed my fear by the shoulders and pushed it aside. A voice inside me said, quiet, Mama. Listen first. Think. Then act. So I did not rush in. I did not make a sound. I stood very still, and I listened to every word. My son said, she's old. She's not strong. If she falls again, it might be enough. His wife replied, or if her medicine gets mixed up. Accidents happen. People won't ask questions. They never do with old women. My fingers tightened around my walking stick until my knuckles turned white. My throat felt dry like sand. My own child was planning for me to die. And his wife was smiling about it. You might be thinking, Grandma, run. Call the police right now. But listen. In stories like this, the danger is not only in the whisper. The danger is in what happens next. I needed proof. I needed a plan. And most of all, I needed to stay alive. I took one quiet step back, then another. My shoes barely touched the floor. My heart hammered so loud I was sure they could hear it. Then my heel bumped the small table in the hallway. Clink. A tiny sound, but in a quiet house, it was like a bell. The whispering stopped. The air froze. I held my breath. A chair scraped inside the living room. Footsteps started coming toward the door. Fast. My eyes darted around. Where could I hide? There was nowhere. Just the hallway, the staircase, and the front door behind me. The doorknob turned. And right then, I made a decision. If they wanted me gone by Monday, then I would not wait for Monday. I would do something first. I reached into my handbag, my hands trembling, and touched the one thing I always carried, my phone. I did not call yet. I did not want them to see me in panic. Instead, I pressed the button to record. The door swung open. My son's face appeared, surprised, then quickly smiling, like a mask slipping into place. Mom, he said, too sweet. You're back. You didn't tell me you were coming today. His wife stepped behind him, her eyes sharp, scanning me from head to toe. Her smile was wide, but it did not reach her eyes. Oh, Mother, she said. We were just talking about you. I looked at them, and I forced my voice to stay calm. Calm is not weakness. Calm is power. I forgot something, I said. I came back for the will. My son's smile twitched. Just for a second, like his face could not decide what to do. The will, he repeated. Yes, I said. The folder. The one in my room. His wife's eyes narrowed. Why would you need that now? I gave a small shrug, like it was nothing. Like my stomach was not twisting into knots. Because it belongs to me, I said. And I want to read it again. My son stepped aside. Sure, Mom. Of course. Come in. I walked past them slowly, keeping my head high. But inside, I was counting every breath, every step, every sound. My ears were wide open. My eyes watched everything. The house looked the same as always. Family photos on the wall. A soft rug by the couch. A vase of flowers on the table. But now the house felt different. Now it felt like a place with hidden traps. Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly felt like you should not touch anything? Like everything could be dangerous. That is how I felt. I started toward my bedroom. My son followed a few steps behind. His wife stayed near the kitchen, but I saw her watching me like a hawk watching a mouse. I reached my bedroom door. My hands were steady on the outside, shaking on the inside. I opened the door. Everything looked normal. Too normal. The bed neatly made. My dresser clean. My mirror shining. But something was off. My jewelry box was moved. Just a little. My drawer was not closed all the way. A corner of paper stuck out like it had been pulled and shoved back quickly. Someone had been searching. I turned slightly and looked at my son. Have you been in my room? I asked gently. He laughed too quickly. What? No, Mom. Why would I go in your room? I walked to the drawer and pulled it open. My will folder was there, but it was not how I left it. The papers were out of order. One page had a new crease. My chest burned with anger, but I kept my face calm. I said. Maybe I'm just forgetful. His wife appeared at the door now, arms crossed. Mother, you worry too much, she said. You always think people are after you. I turned toward her slowly. Do I asked. She smiled again. Of course not. You're safe here. Safe. That word landed like a rock. I held the folder close to my chest and walked back toward the living room. I made sure my phone was still recording in my handbag. My son offered me water. You must be tired, he said. Sit, Mom. Let me get you something. His wife said, yes, have some tea. It will calm you. Tea. My eyes flicked to the kitchen. The kettle was there. 2 cups were already on the counter like someone expected me. I remembered what she whispered. Or if her medicine gets mixed up. My mouth went dry again. I forced a small smile. No tea, I said. I'll just rest a minute. My son's smile tightened. At least have water. He poured water into a glass and brought it to me with both hands, like a gift. Like love. But his eyes were watching my mouth. Watching to see if I would drink. I lifted the glass. The water looked clear. Nothing floating. Nothing strange. But I could not forget the whisper. I held the glass near my lips, then lowered it again. Thank you, I said. I'll drink in a moment. His wife's voice sharpened. Mother, why are you acting like this? You're making it awkward. Awkward. Not afraid. Not worried. Awkward. That told me everything. I leaned back in the chair and placed my handbag on my lap, still recording. My mind worked fast. I needed to leave. But if I left too suddenly, they might stop me. I needed to call someone. But if they saw me, they might take my phone. So I decided to do something smart, something quiet, something that would protect me without a big fight. I said, I have a doctor appointment tomorrow. My son blinked. Tomorrow. Yes, I replied. A full checkup. They're running tests. The doctor says I might live longer than we think. His wife's smile flickered, like a candle in wind. My son swallowed. That's good, he said, but his voice sounded tight. I pretended not to notice. I looked down at the will folder. I'm also meeting my lawyer, I added. On Monday. At the word Monday, I saw it. A flash in my son's eyes. A quick panic. His wife's fingers curled into her palm. So Monday mattered. A lot. I sat up straight. Actually, I said, I might stay here tonight. I don't feel like going back to my sister's. The road is long. Silence. My son's smile froze. His wife's face went still. And in that silence, I understood something clear and simple. If I stayed, I was not safe. If I left, I needed to leave carefully. I stood slowly. Maybe I won't stay, I said. I just remembered I left my medicine at my sister's. I need it. My son stepped closer. Mom, it's late. Let's get your medicine here. We can help. His wife said, yes. Stay. We'll take care of you. Take care of you. My heart pounded. I looked at them both. My own son, smiling like a stranger. His wife, staring like she was already counting money. I tightened my grip on my handbag. My phone was still recording. I prayed it was catching everything. Then I heard it. A small sound behind me. A soft click, like a door being locked. I turned my head just enough to see the front door. The lock was down. My son had locked it. And he was still smiling. "Mom," he said gently, "where do you think you're going?" The room suddenly felt smaller. The air felt heavier. And my walking stick felt very light in my hand, like it would not be enough. I looked from the locked door back to my son's face. And I realized the extreme event had already begun. Because I was locked inside my own son's house. With people who were waiting for Monday. Did you notice how fast a safe place can turn into a trap? 1 minute, I was standing by the chair with my handbag on my lap, acting calm. The next minute, the front door was locked, and my son was smiling like he had all the time in the world. "Mom," he said again, still using that gentle voice, "where do you think you're going?" I looked at the locked door. Then I looked back at him. I did not raise my voice. I did not cry. I did not beg. Because sometimes, when you beg, you give the other person power. Instead, I said, "I'm going home." His wife stepped closer, like she was helping him block the room. "Why rush?" she asked. "You said you were tired." I held my handbag tighter. My phone was inside, still recording, if it had not stopped. I prayed it was still working. "I changed my mind," I said. "I want to sleep in my own bed." My son shook his head slowly. "Mom, it's not safe for you to travel at night." His words sounded kind, but his eyes were not kind. His eyes were watching me, measuring me. His wife added, "You might fall again. You remember last time. It could be serious." The way she said serious made my stomach twist. Like she was hoping for it. I took a slow breath and forced myself to smile. "Then call a taxi," I said. "I'll go anyway." My son laughed, just once. It was a short laugh, but it was sharp. "A taxi? Mom, come on. You know how people are. They'll cheat you. It's better you stay." I nodded like he made sense. "Okay," I said softly. Both of them relaxed a little. That is what I wanted. When someone is dangerous, you must not let them know you are afraid. You must make them think they are in control. I sat back down. His wife's shoulders loosened. My son's smile widened again. "Good," he said. "That's better. I'll make you some tea." "No tea," I said quickly. His smile twitched. "Just a little," he insisted. "It will help you sleep." His wife turned and went to the kitchen like she was already waiting to do it. I heard the kettle start again. I heard a spoon clink against a cup. And then I smelled something. Not tea. Something bitter, like crushed leaves and medicine mixed together. My heart kicked hard. I looked down at my handbag. I needed to get my phone. I needed to call someone. But if I pulled it out now, they would see. So I did something else. I spoke louder, as if I was thinking out loud. "Oh, I forgot. I told my sister I would call her when I got here. She worries too much." My son's eyes narrowed. "You don't need to call her now," he said. "You can call in the morning." "I promised," I said, keeping my voice light. "She will panic if I don't." I opened my handbag slowly, like I was searching for lipstick. My fingers slid around until they found my phone. I kept it hidden under the flap of the bag. I pressed one button without looking. Emergency call shortcut. But I did not speak yet. I just kept it ready, like a knife hidden in a pocket. My son watched me. "Who are you calling?" "My sister," I said. His wife walked in with a cup of tea. She held it with both hands like it was precious. Like it was love. "Here you go, mother," she said sweetly. I looked at the tea. The surface was too still. The color was too dark. My mouth went dry again. I took it with shaking fingers and held it close. My son sat across from me, leaning forward. His wife stood behind him, arms folded, watching. "Drink," my son said. "Just one word. Not, please. Not, when you can. Just, drink." I smiled and lifted the cup toward my lips. Then I paused. "You know," I said, "this reminds me of my childhood." My son blinked. "What?" Yes, I continued, speaking slowly. My mother used to make tea when someone was sick. She always tasted it first to make sure it was right. My son's jaw tightened. His wife's eyes flickered. Oh, she said quickly. It's fine. It's just tea. I nodded. Then taste it with me, I said, and I held the cup toward my son. His smile disappeared. Mom, don't be silly. I held the cup out a little more. Just a sip, I said softly. For old times. His wife stepped in fast. Mother, you're being rude, she snapped. He made it for you. I turned my eyes to her. I asked. I thought you made it. Her mouth opened, then closed. She glanced at my son. My son's voice dropped lower. Mom, he said, what is this? Why are you acting suspicious? Suspicious. That was the word they always use when they want to make you feel crazy. I smiled again, but my smile was sharp now. Because I'm not thirsty, I said. My son stood up so fast the chair scraped. Drink the tea, he said, louder. His wife moved to the side, closer to the hallway, like she was cutting off my path again. My heart hammered. My fingers tightened around my phone inside my bag. I looked at the locked door. Then back at them. I decided I would test them one more time. I lifted the cup, took a tiny sip, and let the tea touch my tongue. It tasted bitter. Not normal bitter. A bitter that made my mouth feel numb right away. My eyes widened. I placed the cup down fast. My tongue tingled. My lips started to feel strange, like pins were touching them. My son leaned in. Good, he said softly. Good. Good that I drank. My fear turned into something else. Anger. Cold, clear anger. Because now I knew. This was not just talk. This was action. My son's wife smiled a little, like she was proud. I stood up quickly, but my legs wobbled. The room tilted for half a second. My son stepped closer and reached for my arm. Sit, he said. I pulled away. Don't touch me. His grip tightened, and his kind mask fell off. Mom, he hissed, stop making problems. My heart slammed against my chest. My lips were getting more numb. My throat felt thick. I looked at my handbag and thought, now. I pulled out my phone and spoke into it before they could stop me. I need help, I said, forcing the words out. I'm at my son's house. They locked the door. I think they put something in my tea. My son's eyes went wide. His wife gasped and lunged toward me. Give me that, she shouted. She grabbed for the phone. I turned away, but my body felt slower than normal. My son reached too, his hand big and fast. In 1 second, the phone flew out of my hand and hit the floor with a crack. My breath caught. My heart pounded. His wife bent down and snatched it up. She pressed buttons fast, trying to stop the call. My son grabbed my arm again, harder this time. You're not doing this, he growled. I twisted, trying to pull free, but my legs felt like wet wood. The numbness was spreading. Let me go, I said, but my voice sounded weaker. His wife held up my phone, her eyes wild. It's off, she snapped. It's off. Nobody heard. But then, from the phone screen, a small sound came out. A voice. Emergency services, it said. What is your location? Her face drained of color. She stared at the phone like it was a snake. Because the call was not off. It was still connected. My son's grip loosened for just 1 second, and I used that second. I shoved him back as hard as my weak arms could. He stumbled into the table. The teacup tipped and spilled, dark liquid spreading across the rug. His wife screamed, "Watch out." But I did not care about rugs. I cared about my life. I stumbled toward the hallway, aiming for the front door. My son recovered fast. He chased me, his footsteps heavy behind me. "Stop," he shouted. "Mom, stop." I grabbed the lock with trembling fingers, trying to pull it up. My hand slipped. The numbness was making my fingers clumsy. Behind me, my son grabbed my shoulder. His wife rushed in too, holding the phone, trying to keep it away from me, trying to end the call. "Give me the phone," I shouted, my voice cracking. My son pulled me back. I fell against the wall, my head bumping it. Stars flashed in my vision. Then he leaned close to my ear and said the words that made my blood turn to ice. "If you ruin this," he whispered, "you won't see Monday." And right then, the front door shook. Bang, bang, bang. Someone was pounding from outside. A loud voice called out, "Open up. Police." My son froze. His wife froze. And I stood there with numb lips, weak legs, and a heart that refused to stop fighting. But the door was still locked. And my son's hand was still on my shoulder. The pounding got louder. "Open the door now." My son looked at his wife. His wife looked at the phone. The phone still had the emergency voice calling out. And then, my son did something I did not expect at all. He smiled. Not a scared smile. A mean smile. And he said, "Fine. Let them in." Then he shoved me hard toward the stairs. My foot missed a step. My body tipped forward. And I began to fall. Down, 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 head first, toward the hard floor below. Have you ever felt your body leave your control, like it no longer belongs to you? That is how it felt as I fell. The world flipped. The ceiling became the floor. My stomach jumped into my throat. I tried to grab the railing, but my fingers slid right through the air. Then pain exploded. My head hit first. A loud crack filled my ears. My shoulder smashed into the steps. My back followed, bump by bump, until my body landed hard at the bottom of the stairs. Everything went quiet. For a moment, I could not breathe. My chest felt crushed. The room spun like a broken wheel. My ears rang, high and sharp. I lay there, staring at the wall, wondering if this was how it ended. Was this what they wanted? I tried to move my fingers. They moved. I tried to wiggle my toes. They moved too. I was alive. Pain shot through my arm and up my neck, but I welcomed it. Pain meant I was still here. Above me, I heard shouting. "What did you do?" My son's wife screamed. "She fell." My son shouted back. "She tripped." Lies. So fast. So easy. I heard footsteps running. The front door opened. Then I heard voices. Deep voices. Strong voices. "Police. Step away from her." Boots thudded down the stairs. A bright light flashed over my face. "Ma'am," a man said gently. "Can you hear me?" I opened my mouth. My tongue still felt strange, but I forced the words out. "Yes," I whispered. Relief washed over his face. "She's conscious," he called out. Another voice said, "Call an ambulance." Now. Hands moved carefully around me. Someone supported my head. Someone else checked my arm. I wanted to cry, but I held it in. I did not want to look weak. Not now. I turned my eyes toward the stairs. My son stood at the top. His face was pale. His wife stood beside him, her arms wrapped around herself, shaking. She was not crying for me. She was scared for herself. An officer looked up at them. "Sir," he said, firm and cold, "why was the door locked?" My son swallowed. We were worried she might wander outside," he said. The officer's eyes narrowed. "And the emergency call? The report says possible poisoning." My son's wife shook her head fast. "No, that's not true. She's confused. She's old. Old." There it was again. The officer looked down at me. "Did someone give you something to drink?" he asked. I nodded slowly. "Tea," I said. It tasted wrong. His jaw tightened. The ambulance siren wailed in the distance, growing louder. As the officers talked, my mind drifted. I remembered when my son was small. How I stayed up all night when he had fever. How I sold my wedding ring to pay his school fees. How I trusted him with my life. And now here I was, broken at the bottom of his stairs. Life lesson, my dear listener. Not everyone who smiles at you loves you. And not everyone who shares your blood wishes you well. The paramedics arrived fast. They lifted me onto a stretcher, strapped snug around my body. As they rolled me toward the door, I caught my son's eye. For the first time, he looked afraid. Not worried. Afraid. "Mom," he said softly, "I didn't mean for this to happen." I looked at him. Really looked. And I said, "But you planned for it." He flinched. Outside, cool air touched my face. Flashing lights painted the night red and blue. They loaded me into the ambulance. A paramedic leaned over me. "We're taking you to the hospital," she said. "Stay with me, okay?" I nodded. As the doors closed, I heard shouting again. "I want a lawyer." My son's wife screamed. Another voice said, "Ma'am, you need to calm down." The ambulance started moving. Sirens screamed. My heart beat slow and heavy. I stared at the ceiling, feeling the numbness fade and pain take its place. That was good. Pain meant the poison had not won. At the hospital, they rushed me through bright halls. Doctors asked questions. Nurses took blood. Machines beeped. She has traces of a sedative, a doctor said. Not prescribed. My heart sank, but I was not surprised. They kept me awake all night. Tests, scans, needles. By morning, my head hurt like fire, but my mind was clear. A police officer came to my bed. A woman with kind eyes and a serious face. Mrs. Harris, she said, we need to ask you some questions. I told her everything. The whispers, the will, Monday, the tea, the stairs. She wrote it all down. When I finished, she looked at me for a long time. You were very brave, she said. I shook my head. No, I said. I was careful. There is a difference. Later that day, my lawyer arrived. He looked tired and worried. You should not be alone, he said. Not now. I nodded. I won't be. He opened his briefcase. We need to talk about your will. My heart beat faster. Yes, I said. We do. He leaned closer. There is something you should know, he said quietly. Someone tried to access your documents last week. Asked questions about timelines, about inheritance dates. I closed my eyes. So it had already started before that night. I opened them again. Then it's time, I said. Time for what? He asked. I looked at him and felt a strange calm settle over me. Time to change everything. He raised his eyebrows. Everything. Yes, I said. Every single thing. That evening, as the sun set outside my hospital window, a nurse handed me my phone. It had been returned by the police. You have many missed calls, she said. I looked at the screen. Missed calls from my son. Messages from my son's wife. I did not open them. Instead, I opened a new message. To my lawyer. Tomorrow, I typed. Bring the papers. All of them. I pressed send. Because if my son and his wife were waiting for Monday, I had plans for before Monday. And they were not going to like them at all. But before I could rest, the door to my hospital room opened. 2 police officers stepped in. Their faces were serious. Mrs. Harris, one of them said, we need to inform you of something important. My heart skipped. What is it? He took a breath. Your son and his wife have been released, he said. For now, released. My fingers tightened around the blanket. And, he added, they are asking to see you. The room felt suddenly very small. Because the people who tried to kill me were free. And they wanted to come back into my life. Right now. Have you ever felt your heart sink even while lying in a hospital bed? That is how I felt when the officer said my son and his wife wanted to see me. Free, walking, breathing the same air as me. My fingers curled into the white hospital sheet. My body still ached. My head throbbed. But fear was sharper than pain. I don't want to see them, I said. The officer nodded. That is your right. But they are family. They are insisting. Family. That word used to mean safety. Warm food. Gentle hands. Now it tasted bitter in my mouth. I will see them, I said slowly. The officer looked surprised. Are you sure? Yes, I replied. But not alone. He understood right away. We will be right outside, he said. The door closed softly behind him. I lay back and stared at the ceiling. I knew something important was about to happen. This was not just about pain or fear anymore. This was about truth. The door opened again. My son walked in first. He looked smaller than I remembered. His shoulders were slumped. His eyes were red, like he had not slept. Behind him came his wife. Her face was tight and pale. Her mouth pressed into a thin line. They stopped near the door. Mom, my son said softly. How are you feeling? I did not answer right away. I studied them. I wanted to see guilt. Fear. Shame. I saw none of those. Only worry about what might happen next. I'm alive, I said. That seems to disappoint you. His wife gasped. How can you say that? I turned my eyes to her. Because I heard you whisper. Her face froze. My son stepped forward. Mom, you misunderstood everything. I laughed. It surprised even me. Did I misunderstand the tea too? I asked. Or the stairs? Silence filled the room. Then his wife spoke, sharp and fast. You fell. You were old. Accidents happen. I felt something break inside me. Not sadness. Not fear. Hope. Hope that they might still be human. It broke clean in half. You locked the door, I said. You poisoned my drink. You pushed me. My son shook his head. No, no, we would never hurt you. I reached under my pillow and pulled out my phone. I have a recording, I said. Their faces changed. His wife's eyes went wide. Recording. Yes, I said calmly. I heard everything. Monday. The will. Me dying. My son took a step back. His mouth opened, then closed. That's impossible, he whispered. I pressed a button. The room filled with sound. Their voices. Whispering. Cold. Clear. If she dies before Monday, we inherit everything. If her medicine gets mixed up. Silence followed the playback. Heavy silence. My son dropped into the chair like his legs gave out. His wife backed away until she hit the wall. That's not what it sounds like, my son said weakly. It sounds exactly like what it is, I replied. The door opened. The officer stepped in. I think that's enough, he said. My son looked up in panic. Mom, please, don't do this. Do this. As if telling the truth was an attack. I leaned forward slowly. You already did this, I said. I'm just surviving it. The officer asked them to leave. His wife started crying now. Loud, messy cries. I'm pregnant, she suddenly shouted. You wouldn't do this to your grandchild. The words hit me like a slap. Pregnant. My son looked shocked too. What? She turned to him. I was going to tell you after Monday. After Monday. Everything came back to that day. I closed my eyes for a moment. Then I opened them. If that is true, I said, then I will pray for that child. She stared at me. But, I continued, a child does not erase evil. The officer escorted them out. When the door shut, my hands started shaking. Not from fear, from relief. Later that day, my lawyer came back. He brought a thick folder. We can change everything, he said. Effective immediately. I nodded. Good. We worked for hours. New papers. New instructions. New names. I signed slowly, carefully. When we finished, he looked at me. Are you sure? Yes, I said. I am very sure. That night, I slept for the first time since the fall. But sleep did not last long. Sometime past midnight, a nurse shook me gently. Mrs. Harris, she whispered. You have a visitor. My heart jumped. Who? She hesitated. Your son. I sat up. I said no more visits. She nodded. He didn't come through the front desk. My blood ran cold. What do you mean? I asked. She swallowed. He was found outside your window. Outside. My room was on the second floor. The nurse continued. He says he just wanted to talk. I swung my legs off the bed. Call security, I said. Before she could move, I heard it. A soft tapping. Tap, 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 on the glass. I turned my head slowly. The curtain moved, and there he was, my son, standing on the narrow ledge outside my hospital window, smiling, holding something small and dark in his hand. And in that moment, I knew one thing for sure. Monday was not the only deadline he had planned. Have you ever realized that danger does not always stop just because people are watching? That night, as I stared at my son through the hospital window, I understood something very clearly. He was not done. The glass shook softly as he tapped again. Tap, tap. My heart beat fast, but my mind was calm. Fear had already done its worst. Now it was time to finish this. Security is on the way, the nurse whispered behind me. I did not take my eyes off him. My son lifted the small dark object in his hand. It was my medicine bottle. The same one I had left at his house. He pressed it against the glass and mouthed the words, "You forgot this." My stomach turned. I shook my head slowly. "Go away," I said, though he could not hear me. He smiled wider. Then footsteps thundered in the hallway. "Sir, step away from the window." My son's smile vanished. He looked down. Security guards rushed in from both ends of the corridor outside. Nurses shouted. Alarms rang. My son tried to climb down, but his foot slipped. For a split second, our eyes met. Not mother and child, just two people on opposite sides of truth. He fell, not far, just enough to hurt, enough to stop him from running. Security surrounded him. Police arrived minutes later. This time, there was no smiling. No pretending. They took him away in handcuffs. His wife was arrested the next morning. The bottle tested positive for poison. The recording sealed everything. Monday came, but not the way they planned. On Monday, my lawyer stood beside my hospital bed. "The will has been executed," he said. "Exactly as you instructed." I nodded. Everything I owned went where love lived. To my sister. 2 charities. 2 children who had no one. And one final envelope, addressed to my son. Inside it was a letter. It said, "You planned my death. So I planned my truth. You will inherit nothing but the consequences of your choices." The court case was short. Truth does not need many words. My son and his wife were sentenced. The house was sold. I moved somewhere quiet, somewhere safe. Sometimes, people ask me if I regret what I did. I tell them no, because love does not mean allowing evil, and blood does not excuse betrayal. Here is the lesson, dear listener. Do not ignore whispers. Do not stay silent to protect people who would not protect you. And never believe that kindness makes you weak. Sometimes, the strongest thing a grandmother can do is survive and walk away with her dignity intact.